Ronen Rubinstein, him, currently stars in Ryan Murphy's 911 Lone Star, which follows a New York firefighter, Owen Strand, who relocates to Austin, Texas with his son, TK Strand, where he works to save people's lives while trying to solve his own personal problems, which is a lot. Rubinstein stars as TK, an openly gay fireman and recovering addict who works equally as hard in his job, his relationship with his father, and his relationship with his life partner. Season 3 is currently airing on Fox, and I think you said you're starting season 4 soon, right?
Yes, soon. Yeah? Couple months.
Okay. Ronen, I'm talking like you're not here. Ronen was most recently seen on Hulu's anthology horror series, American Horror Stories. He was also seen starring in the horror thriller film No Escape. His past projects on the big screen include Smiley Face Killers, Dude, Smartass, Condemned, Some Kind of Hate, Jamie Marks is Dead, It Felt Like Love, and Detachment. On the small screen, he has been seen in Dead of Summer and Orange is the New Black. Passionate about the environment, he has become an advocate for climate activism and sustainability, which we're going to talk about. And I also think you're the lead singer of your own band, and you play the bongos and ukulele, as I understand it's called.
Maybe when I made that up 10 years ago, yes.
No, not anymore, huh?
No.
So tell us, Ronen also attended the one-year program
Yes.
at NYFA in New York. Mm-hmm. We're very proud of him and where he's come and all that you've achieved. Tell us, let's go back and tell us your journey. What started your journey as an actor? Was there some person or film or something you saw that you said, the lightning struck and you said, that's what I want to do? What inspired you?
Well, first of all, thank you everybody that's here. Sorry you had to watch that.
Sorry, no, it was great. It was amazing.
For me, it's actually, it's sort of cliche. It's sort of like acting saved my life. And this episode specifically, and just this character is very weirdly near and dear to my heart, and it's very close to reality. When I was in high school, I had a bit of a opioid problem for a solid 2 years. Started in sophomore year of high school, and it was prescription pills. A lot of my teachers saw that I was on a very, very bad path. Mm-hmm. And it was my guidance counselor, God bless her soul, Miss Coppola. She said, you know what, Ronen, I think it could be good for you if you joined the theater program. And I was like, that sounds whack. I don't know. I don't know about all that.
Silly actors.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work. And but she's like, I think the discipline and the accountability could be good for you. So I joined it. I joined in my junior year of high school, and I did a play, which I happened to book the lead role in.
What was it?
It was a program where the students create their own scripts, mm-hmm. set design, lighting, directing, writing, everything. And this was a comedy. It was about Guido superheroes. Because at that time, Jersey Shore was the hottest thing on the East Coast, and
makes sense.
Everyone likes to think that people from Staten Island are from New Jersey, which I don't know why, but
from California. When they're in California, they think that.
Yeah, so I went to school in Staten Island, but I just remember the rehearsal process and working with other students and working with other actors, and I just remember like it was yesterday, coming out on stage in front of like 1,000 people and doing 2 straight nights of a play. And I quite literally caught the bug that night.
I loved it.
And I quickly realized maybe this is what I want to do. And then that following summer, in between junior and senior year of high school, I started pursuing representation and did like this showcase thing in the city. And then fortunately, stuff started happening really quick, and I got my manager within a couple months, and then literally my first audition was for this tiny $120,000 indie film, which is nothing. It was called It Felt Like Love. And the following year, it got into Sundance.
Wow. That's great.
And I was the male lead in that. And that was my first experience, period.
That's a good start.
That's a very good start. So I was sort of thrown into it. I was sort of thrown into the industry and thrown into the whole business of acting, and much quicker than I expected and probably than I wanted. I was still, figuring out my life and getting all the bad habits out of the way.
Did it help you get off the drugs once you
Yeah.
started acting?
I think landing at Sundance and seeing that this is very real and that there is a career to be made out of this, and just to see the people I was surrounded by at Sundance was insane. I was going to like press tours with like Dustin Hoffman, and Michael B. Jordan just had Fruitvale Station released, so they were like, this kid, Michael B., he might be something. So just being around that, I was like, oh my God, this is very real, and it was very scary. Because I was this 19-year-old degenerate. Like, I mean, I gotta be honest, So that quickly, I was like, I gotta get my shit together. And the rest is history.
So after was it after high school you went to the New York Film Academy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, the year right after.
Right. Wow. So did you realize through that first experience that you needed to learn how to act or
Oh, yeah.
or how to act?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know what I was doing, and It Felt Like Love.
Instinct.
It's directed by this brilliant director. Her name is Eliza Hittman, and luckily It Felt Like Love was very much like a running gun. I remember our camera operator was also our DP and would pull focus by himself on his shoulder, and it was, I mean, bare minimum production. But she's brilliant. Now she's made like crazy awesome movies. Film Academy. I did the conservatory, and I just needed some basics. I didn't know what acting was. I didn't know what the craft was. I loved watching movies and TV, but I just didn't know what I was doing. And I owe so much to this school. And I'm not just saying that because we're here.
I didn't make him say that. I just want you to know that wasn't in the deal. But thank you. I'm glad.
But there's still like essentials that I use from nearly 10 years ago to this day when preparing for a role or for a project.
I mean, that's great because that's one of my questions. Is
Yeah.
anything specific that part of what you learned, specific learning techniques, applying them to scene study, acting for film, anything in particular?
Those two, literally those two. Scene study, just learning how to read a script and to break down a script, and that I never obviously knew what that was, and just figuring out what I want to do on a page and what I can do on a page, and developing a character, how they speak, how they walk, how they move, how they, their physicality, their tone, they're so. I mean, all humans are so different, so you can make characters so specific, and I didn't know how to do that. But all the people that I looked up to did that, like the Christian Bales, the Brad Pitts, the Leos, and I'm like, how do they do that, And then acting for film was something that I still very much use today. And actions, beats, reactions, like breathing. I remember our acting for film teacher was always like, it's okay to breathe. You can breathe in this scene, because I think when we're starting off, a lot of it we're like, we freeze up, and we're nervous, or we just don't know sort of how to maneuver our bodies and use our, our instrument. And I always remember him, like, his name was Paul Warner. He was always like, you can breathe on this line. And it was just like, and so a lot of stuff like that, just a lot of technical stuff that you just wouldn't know.
So once you left NYFA, then you have a manager in New York, you're working. What were some of your challenges starting out as an actor?
I mean, I can't skip over the fact that I had one of the most challenging things a human could face, and it was actually happening while I was at NYFA. In 2012, Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast, and my house was submerged underwater for around 3 days. My parents almost got caught in the storm. They almost died. My dog almost died. We lost every physical thing we owned. I had no clothes. We literally had nothing. And I came into school when they were allowed to open up again, and my classmates, this is so crazy. I was living off the Red Cross.
This is why you're going to school at
Yeah.
New York Film Academy,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It's just when you see the ocean take out your neighborhood, it's kind of fucking scary. But I remember I came into class one day, and all my classmates, they had this big black garbage bag, and they surprised me with clothes.
Oh.
Yeah. So finishing off school was pretty hard because, you know, I had to like live at a friend's house, and my classmates were the fucking greatest, and they had a winter jacket for me because, you know, it was the winter, and my experience at NYFA was completely, I mean, I can't believe I'm fucking crying. Fuck. Yeah, so it was a completely very deep personal experience for me. It was so much more than just learning how to be an actor. And then, yeah, I finished the conservatory and already had a film at Sundance, so things happened pretty quick. And my manager, I call him my guardian angel, Oren Siegel, he saw the trailer of It Felt Like Love and immediately reached out and was like, I want to sign you. And he had huge clients, and I had to look him up, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I flew out to LA, met him, and I've been with him ever since.
Keep working. It sounds easy, but I know it wasn't.
One of the hardest things in the world, yeah. I think the percentage, it's kind of mind-boggling. I think the percentage of working actors in, like, if you look at the union, I think it's like 2-point-something% out of millions of people. So just from statistics, the odds are against you.
Yeah.
And it is so hard. It is so hard. I think every single person that we look up to, they've all had to struggle, and, you know, yeah, it's not easy.
So do you feel you did not have challenges along the way, or other than I understand the personal career-wise challenges?
Oh,
do
yeah.
You feel like you have
Massive challenges, man. You know, it's like not working for 6 months, 8 months, running out of money, getting said no to 150 times. That's really hard.
Did you ever feel like you were going to plan B? Like, yeah, this is hard. Maybe I should be an accountant or something. Did you ever feel that plan B was on the horizon, or going, no, there's no way I'm giving this up?
Actually, weirdly enough, yes. I remember I used to journal a lot when I was going through all this stuff, and there was one journal entry where I said, so I was auditioning for, it's called Dead of Summer, which was my first TV show, first series regular. And I remember the journal entry right before I went out for that audition. I said, if I don't get a job within a month, I'm gonna go work at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's,
yeah,
just out
I was
of
like,
the
you
blue.
know,
Trader Joe's. Why
organic
Trader Joe's?
food, healthy living.
Free groceries.
I can help people get healthy and eat. And we were shopping at Trader Joe's, and the vibe is really good there. You get to wear like Hawaiian shirts and shit. And then literally the universe heard me, and Dead of Summer came my way, and it was my first series regular. Did 10 episodes, was picked up immediately.
So Trader Joe's is the loser in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could probably still go in for a day. They would probably love you there.
I love Trader Joe's, man. Yeah.
So actually, I do too. So you got this. You've done some television. You've done some film.
Yeah.
You worked on American Horror Story.
Yeah.
With
the spinoff.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy.
Yes.
So he's the same creator as 911.
Yes.
How did that happen? Let's talk about the show. Did he just pluck you out of that? Oh, I saw him on this. He's great. Let's put him into this. Or was there an auditioning situation? You had to fight for the role, or how'd that work?
For Lone Star or American Horror Stories?
For Lone Star.
Lone Star was pretty epic. It was. I went in once. The casting director that I'm now dear friends with, Eric Solier, he told me that when I left the room, he turned to his assistant and said, "That's TK Strand." Within a week, they called me to test. I later found out that I didn't test against anybody else. And then within 2 days, I get a call and they said, "Rob Lowe wants the chemistry read with you." So things happen very fast and very intensely. And then within 2 days, I walk into a room sort of like this, and Rob Lowe's just sitting there. And the first words that ever came out of his mouth, he went to shake my hand. He looked me right in the eyes and he said, "Yeah, I see it. Yep."
That's crazy.
And I was
That's
like, "Oh
crazy.
shit!" And then we did a couple scenes from the first episode, and then me and him were the only ones cast for like 3 weeks, and we had a hard time finding the rest of the cast. And then we got Liv Tyler, which was crazy.
So you worked with an American Horror Story, right?
No, no, I've never worked with her before.
you haven't?
Yeah. So yeah, she was there for season 1, and then first day of work was in Times Square, New York, on the 50th floor of the H&M skyscraper, and we had a guy dangling from his ankle, literally on the side of the building with like nothing below him. And I turned to Rob and I was like, "So this is the kind of show we're going to be shooting." And Ryan was obviously very supportive. And then for American Horror Stories, that was extra cool because Ryan straight up called me and was like, "Hey, I got a cool role for you. Are you available in 2 weeks?" And I said, "Yep. Where do I sign?" Like I didn't need to know what it was for, what was the character. I was just like, "Yeah, where do I sign?"
You've had a tough time.
Long time coming, man. Right
No,
now it seems like
but-
it's all, dandy, but it took a
But
very
it
long
took,
time.
what,
Yeah.
10 years?
I would say so,
Something like
yeah.
that.
Because even when Dead of Summer came, I was like, "Yes, this is my show. I'm gonna break through. I've got some money in my bank account," and then it got canceled. And then I was unemployed for like 8 months, and it really shows you that nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
And it's probably the only job where you could work a massive job and then be unemployed immediately the day
It's so
after.
nice that you sound extremely grateful to be doing what you're doing, which is
This is
the
the
other
coolest
side of
job
it.
in the world, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the role challenges you?
I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot. Like with my character, I've been very, very lucky. They've given me some really brutal, emotional stuff to deal with.
Now this episode was amazing.
Thank you.
did. It was-
So on top of all the emotional stuff that we have to deal with, then we have medical jargon. Season 1 and season 2, I was a firefighter, so we're doing a lot of the firefighter stuff. Now I'm a paramedic, so I'm doing all the paramedic stuff, and we are doing the real thing. We have paramedics and firefighters on set, making sure everything's authentic and looks as real as possible.
So you've been trained by them for what?
Yeah. Our firefighter tech actually is a dear friend as well. He's an older gentleman. He's a retired firefighter, and they just want to make sure that the show looks real and authentic. And like in this episode, when you saw the armpit thing, that we had our retired paramedic. She was like, "This is what we would actually do," and she walked me through the whole thing, and I had to rehearse all that like a million times. And it looks really smooth on camera, but it's hard, and there's a lot of technical stuff that
It's
we
like a
have to
whole new career.
Yeah. I always say I think I do pretty well in like an emergency
Do you
situation,
think you
but
could handle it if something real happened?
I should say yes. I hope that situation never happens, but yeah, I think I'd be okay
You
until
would
the
be better than
professionals
I
come.
would. So there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
right there. So do you have anything? Do you have any say in the writing? Do you help create this character, or is the writer saying, "Here's what you got"? Especially in the beginning when they're creating the show.
I think in the beginning, especially season 1, Ryan was very hands-on, and his vision is everything. But now that we're season 3 going into season 4, our writers are super intelligent, man. They pick up on stuff of the actors in real life, and you'll start seeing nuances in the script that are very similar to us, and the way we speak, the way we move. And I think with me, one thing that I can say is I've been begging Tim Minear, our showrunner, for an episode like this since day one, because I really wanted to know how bad was his drug problem, and how dark of a person was he back in the day. And I remember he called me and he's like, Ronen, I got your gift. And I was like, what is it? He's like, I got your heroin episode. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. So yeah.
So are any of the physical stunts that you do any stunts or something? Or
I do all my stunts.
Do you do all your stunts?
Yeah, I'm like Tom Cruise.
Tom? You and Tom.
Yeah, I try to do as much as I can. There's some stuff that's super dangerous, and I would let the professionals do it. But
Good choice.
yeah, but like in season 3, like we started off with a bang. I had to save a kid on a frozen lake and had to crawl across this massive body of water and had to chip away at real ice for hours. My hands were like destroyed, and then had to pick the kid out of the frozen lake. Then I had to fall in to the water. Then
And it was really a frozen lake?
no,
Oh.
luckily it wasn't. It was a very warm pool, but it looked really
But
cool.
it looked like
Yeah.
it was frozen.
But yeah, I had to do that in full uniform, and you know, we're messing around underwater and have to like strap the kid in and try to pop out of the water, and you know, you do that for like 10 hours, and it sucks.
This is a lot of work.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really cool physical stuff that they give me. My character is very much like a hero that sacrifices his own body to save other people. I've been in a coma like 3 times in the show. That's not even a joke. I've been hurt like 6 times, you know.
For real or on the show?
On the show.
Oh, okay.
This episode kicked my ass, though. I went pretty hard for that one. But yeah, I've been very fortunate to have really cool stunts and action sequences.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So you star as an openly gay firefighter on
Yeah.
this show.
Yeah.
How do they handle it differently, do you think, than other similar relationships on network television?
Ryan Murphy, you know, first and foremost. He's been a trailblazer for LGBTQ plus representation for 19 years now. You know, started with Nip Tuck in 2003. We had a major transgender character arc in 2003 on FX, which nobody was doing.
Yeah.
And the studio threatened to, you know, shut down the show. And he's like, no,
Really?
this is what I believe in. This is what I'm going to do. And then, you know, Nip Tuck became one of the most successful shows of all time. And so it always starts first and foremost with Ryan. He makes it as authentic and as normalized as possible. I've never had like a coming out story in the show with TK and his dad, and there's never been a scene where TK goes to Owen and he's like, Dad, I think I'm gay. You know, it's like very much from the moment you see our characters in season 1, episode 1, I look over to my dad during a rescue. We're like climbing up this massive elevator, and he's like, I think I'm gonna propose to Alex today. And he's like, well, if that's what you want, son, I support you. And that's the first sort of interaction you get between father-son. So from the moment the show started, we just normalized it as much as possible.
It's a normal relaship.
Exactly, yeah, and we're very
No
much
overly dramatic
none
reveals
of that.
or anything.
No, man. You know, and we're in 2022. You know, we're reflecting the real world. We're reflecting America. It is ironic, though, that our show takes place in Texas. So that's really pushing the boundaries. You know, we probably got a lot of Texas residents that don't like our show, but 7.2 million people watch it a week, so obviously they like what we're doing.
Somebody likes it out there.
Exactly.
A lot of people like it out
Yeah.
there. What about social media? I guess there's a lot of pressure on actors to be very visible on social media.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do you think, is it hard to balance private life with your social promotion of your career and your work?
I've learned to embrace social media. I've learned to love it because I know how much power is in social media and how much influence is in social media. And I've been very fortunate to have a pretty big following. And people now are listening to what I'm saying and listening to what I believe in and what I'm passionate about. And you can truly move mountains with social media. We saw that in the elections in 2020. So I've learned to embrace it. And I think the most important thing is giving yourself boundaries. You know, I'm very active on social media, but, you know, my private life is not really out there, you know. I'm not like posting selfies from the toilet, you know. That'd be kind of weird.
But interesting.
Yeah, but dude, a lot of people do that. It's weird. But you know, I very much have embraced it, and it's like,
Yeah.
this is what I believe in. This is what I'm passionate about, and if you don't agree with it or if you don't like it, there's millions of other people to go follow. But my fan base has become very, very loyal and passionate about what I'm passionate about. And now I have, you know, kids of 14 years old wanting to be environmentalists and wanting to be marine biologists and wanting to be firefighters or paramedics. So I think there's a lot of good that could be made with social media, and I feel like a lot of the time people try to primarily focus on the negative that social media gives off, but it takes away from the good that it does. And there's a lot of amazing people out there using it, I think, the right way. Yeah.
Do you think it can be harmful for younger people to be so involved in social media?
I didn't grow up with social media. You know, I'm like on that borderline of like MySpace. You know, MySpace came out.
There was MySpace,
yeah,
wasn't there?
You know, I never participated in that, but you know, I remember the birth of Facebook and all that stuff, and it wasn't as predominant as it is now. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to understand what younger kids are going through with social media, because it feels very foreign to me. Yeah, I'm sure it's tough. You know, you see the negative effect on younger kids. I think that comes back to people of influence and, you know, celebrities using their platform for good, you know, and trying to make positive change, because there's a lot of celebrities and people with massive followings that are promoting, you know, negative stuff and artificial stuff, and
You seem
yeah.
to keep it authentic, so I guess
Yeah.
that's the key.
I think, you know, like I said before, seeing your entire neighborhood get destroyed by
Yeah.
the ocean, that will light a fire under your ass about learning about what climate change is and what global warming is. And I always say I saw how the ocean could destroy everything, but I also now understand how powerful the ocean is and could actually save everything. So that was something that, in a weird way, I'm grateful for. Yeah.
I read a quote. It said, when you were 18 years old, you stated that your acting career will coincide with trying to save the planet. So how have you been able to do this? You started
Amen
talking
to that.
about
Yeah.
you started talking about climate change, and I know you're an advocate for that. What kind of areas are you involved in with that?
So it's been a really incredible ride. I'm an ambassador for 2 ocean organizations. One of them is called the Ocean Cleanup. They primarily focus on cleaning out the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a pile of garbage in the Pacific Ocean the size of Texas, and it's just sitting out there. And it was created by this brilliant young scientist from Greece. His name is Boyan Slat, and he was 23 when he created the organization. And they have these massive ships that go out. They're called interceptors, and it's pretty much like a buoy system that trails behind the ship and cleans out this garbage, and they're the only ones that are doing major ocean cleanups. Then there's another one called Project Zero, which focuses on creating ocean sanctuaries around the world, and the goal is to protect 30% of the planet's oceans, the same sort of way national forests are protected by the government. For some reason, the ocean is not protected, and it makes up over 70% of the planet. I think only 7% of the world's oceans are protected by government officials, which is bonkers. And then recently became an ambassador for a hydrogen company, which focuses on transportation and using hydrogen as the future for energy and fuel consumption. Right now, it's the most sustainable energy source that we have, and I know that this administration just invested over $8 billion in hydrogen, so it should be a good year coming up.
What do you do as the ambassador?
My job is to, first of all, educate myself, then promote the shit out of it.
There's where social media has a great function.
Exactly, yeah. And just pretty much to amplify their message to, audiences that may not necessarily know about these organizations or know what's going on in the world. My audience, luckily, is very young. It's very much from 12 to 25, So being able to teach them about these companies that they may have never heard of if it wasn't for me or somebody else. And just sort of giving them the platform of like, hey, this is what's going on. If you're interested, that would be really cool. But never trying to force anything on people. Never trying to point a finger at people of like, you should be invested in the climate. I wish I could, but that wouldn't be very productive. And then, obviously attend seminars and events and just shaking hands and kissing babies, that's a big part of it. And just sort of being a voice and a sort of a vessel for these companies, and hopefully the relationship grows and there's more opportunities. Yeah.
You're involved in so many things. What's your next big thing, career-wise?
Man. I've always had, ambitions of being a part of the UN. Like Leonardo DiCaprio is, Mark Ruffalo, Angelina Jolie. I've gotten to work with them twice now on climate action, which has been mind-boggling. So I'm slowly getting there. Being more involved in other organizations. COVID really hurt everybody, but being more hands-on, traveling to these places where these ocean sanctuaries are being built, getting my hands dirty. There's one thing to, using your social media, but I want to get my hands dirty. I want to see the work. I want to hang out with these scientists. It was really cool with the hydrogen company. I got to sail on a completely self-sustaining boat, which ran on solar, wind, and hydrogen. And now it's currently sailing around the entire planet.
Wow.
While being self-sustained. They make drinking water out of the ocean, and they have a Toyota engine inside of the boat, which is what we use in the fuel cell cars. So seeing stuff like that of like, we can do this, the technology is there. And listening to these scientists, most of them are from the Netherlands and France, and just sitting with them out in the water with a completely silent and scentless boat and be like, this is the future.
I think it's amazing that that's where you're letting your career be the platform for that.
Yeah.
I think it's really very commendable that you're using that to help other things.
Thank you.
What's your dream job as an actor?
Playing Brad Pitt's son. Anything with Brad Pitt.
Is he a Brad Pitt fan?
Working with Brad Pitt. Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Christian Bale. Anything with those three. I'll retire the next day. That would be
Sweet.
bucket list at its finest. Those are the guys that inspired me to do this and challenged me to, want to do great and want to really do character-driven roles. That's what gets me excited. So yeah, anything with those three guys.
So this leads me to one of my last questions, and then I want them to be able to ask questions. Okay, so there are five choices here. This is
Oh,
not
boy.
not a pop quiz. You don't have to get it right. So there are 5 projects. They all shoot at the same time. 5 films. You get to pick one. One has a great director.
Okay.
One has a great actor you've always wanted to work with. One has a wonderful script, Oscar nomination for sure. One has a great role for you. And one gives you a ton of money. Which one do you choose?
Script.
The script?
It's always got to be the script first.
Even if it was Brad Pitt? Oh, wait a minute. I changed my mind.
Well, he probably wouldn't be in a bad scripted movie. So, but all seriousness,
that's a good out. You're
yeah.
very, very
but
good.
all seriousness, I think it always starts on the page.
The story.
It's always the writing first and foremost. Because even the greatest actor, he can't make shitty writing good.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth, And you said probably Oscar nominated, so I'd love to be a part
You're going for that one. Okay, good choice.
Like that. Yeah.
Good choice. Is there any question you've always wanted to be asked and nobody's asked you?
I don't know. I've been asked a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Some weird stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'll be surprised one day.
Okay. Because I want to ask it if you really want it to be asked.
Yeah. No, there's been some great questions. Yeah. Thank you.
So let's open it up to our group here. If you have a question, raise your hand. There's a mic up there. You can stand over there or project either way.
Hi.
Hi.
Mike's a little high. Okay, so I've always been curious about like firefighter, cop, and like medical shows, like how they're filmed, and like something that comes to mind, like in Lone Star, is like when gosh, I'm gonna explain this so badly, when the interracial couple, I can't remember their name, but when like
Grace and Judd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That when the flood happens and they're in the car, like that I've always been curious about, and like also like what it was like during the crossover episode to work with the other 911 group.
So you watched the show.
Oh yeah,
right.
Of course. I love
Cool.
the show.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So when the car flies off the bridge, so that it would be a stunt driver driving off the bridge in the car. We would never have actors in that situation. But then when it cuts to Jim and Sierra inside of the car, that would be probably in a pool tank or like a water tank situation inside of a car. But we would be surrounded by stunt scuba swimmers, and it would be very safe. And we would never do anything that the actors wouldn't feel safe with. What was the second part?
Oh, what it was like to work in the crossover episode with the other group. Yeah.
It was really cool, man. They're the reason we're here. The OG show. I mean, their success was able to, breed the spinoff. So we're super grateful for them, and the actors were really cool. I had a really cool storyline with Buck.
Oh yeah, I love the comment that you made towards Eddie when he came back. You're like, "Keep your boyfriend away from me," like that. That thing, I thought that was great.
Yeah. She can quote the show.
Yeah.
This is great. That's a fan.
This. Yeah, this is great. It was really smooth, but the crossover was a massive episode.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, as you know, it was a massive forest fire. That was really crazy to see how they do that, because we had the actual fire department called on us so many times, and we would constantly have fire department helicopters because they thought it was a real fire. And it's really mostly just fake smoke, and then a lot of the fire is CGI'd after. But that was a massive episode. I think that took 14 days. And, having the OGs, it's sort of like, it felt very smooth, I would say. And me and Buck had like a little, we sort of eyed each other up and down, and they were like, "All right, let's do this," and it was really cool. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Hi. First, I just wanted to say it's really admirable everything you were telling us about the climate.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And then my question was actually, since you guys were talking about social media, I was wondering a little bit what your opinion is on something we kind of discuss a lot in class, whether today's process with casting, you actually need like a following already, because and you've said that you were working like probably 10 years already, so I don't know if you've noticed any differences in like how much social media influences casting directors or stuff like that.
Oh, that's sort of, sometimes that's the sad truth, but I don't know, I still have seen people book massive roles and they have like 200 followers, you know, or they don't even have social media. A friend of mine, he doesn't have social media and he works all the time on massive projects. I'll say this, and this might be controversial, but if a project is hiring you based off followers, I don't think you want to be there. You know what I mean? That's kind of whack. Because that has nothing to do with your talent and your ability as an actor, you know?
Yeah, I think it might get you, it might get you, in my opinion, it might get you noticed, but when you go in the room, you've got to have the chops.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
That's first and foremost,
Yeah.
you know? I think we're okay for now. Yeah.
That's very good to hear.
Hi. First of all, the story was very inspiring, your whole life story. I really like that.
Thank you.
This is a message from my mother back home. She said, like, you gave her stress for an entire week, that episode you got shot. Because she thought he got shot in one episode and it just ended there. And she thought you were out of the show. And she said
I got shot by a child.
Yeah. She
As
said
you
she
do.
was
That was in
stressed.
season 2.
She was stressed for the entire week. So that message comes all the way from South Africa. She says, like, don't
Amazing,
ever
man.
do that.
Send her my hello.
Send her love. And
He's
then,
alive.
Yeah.
second last question. What was not the best, but what was the most memorable episode for you out of all the seasons?
I gotta say this one.
This one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's so personal and so near and dear to my heart and has so much life experience that I actually went through. This episode was almost therapeutic in a weird way. It's like when life imitates art. It was definitely the most intense emotional stuff I got to do in 3 seasons. This episode felt very much like a drama and felt very much almost like a movie. And I come from film, you know,
Yeah.
so for me, for the first time, we had time to work on scenes and to really think about, you know, what we want to do in this scene. Because usually television is like, you got 12 hours and you got to go. But this episode is very special to me. It was also, I think, the first sort of backstory episode that we've ever had. So I feel very honored to sort of start us off on that path.
And it was a great episode, by the way.
Thank you.
And last question. I couldn't now look it up because I wasn't sure. Are you born in 92 or 93? Because I have this.
93.
Okay, it makes sense now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whew, I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad we got that solved. It was great.
Yes, sir.
What else? Who else? Yes. Oh, good.
Hello. Okay, there we go.
Hi.
So, you seem like a very charismatic and great guy. So I actually had a question,
Oh, thank you.
which I don't know. I feel like I always wonder about that. Obviously, as your career progresses and starting with background with NYFA, what has been something that throughout your daily process just keeps you grounded in being your own individual?
Good question.
That beautiful creature right there in the front.
Aw.
I'm gonna start crying again. I'm such
emotional
a such a
tonight.
mess today.
Good.
My
You
partner-
should maybe be an actor.
My partner Jessica, we've been together for 5 years, and she's the person that has seen everything behind closed doors. She sees all this stuff, but she's seen the hard times, the really hard times. She sees everything behind closed doors in private that nobody gets to see. And between her, my 2 dogs, and the beautiful home that we've built for ourselves, that's my favorite place in the whole world. You know, so coming home to her keeps me grounded automatically. I don't need all this glitz and glamour and all the stuff that comes with this business, but being at home with her is the best place in the whole world. And getting to go to work to do what I do is like bonus, you know?
Oh, she loved that answer. Thank you.
So yeah.
Shout
thank you.
out to Paul Warner.
Yes.
I think we're all going to cry after that.
I don't know what's going on. This is ridiculous.
Hi.
Hi.
So earlier you mentioned how you started looking for representation. How did you actually find your agent?
So when I started, and I'm sure they're still around, it was pretty much called like a summer showcase. and I did mine in New York, and it was a 2-month program where you have various teachers come in and teach you, technique, scene study, whatever. And at the end of the program, you get to go in front of managers and agents. And if one of them likes you, they'll ask for a meeting, and then, hopefully one thing leads to another. And that's where I found my very first manager, and that led to Felt Like Love, and that led to my current manager of almost 10 years now. So I'm sure there's many programs like that. I know NYFA does a program like that at the end of either
We
the
do showcases,
the 2 or the 3-year program, I don't know. And there's just, especially in Los Angeles, I mean, this is the best place to be. But, finding representation will make your life a lot easier because they could get you out on legitimate auditions and help you break through.
All right, thank you.
Hell yeah. Thanks for coming with Chase.
Hi. Firstly, and Lynda's gonna wanna kill me for this. I just wanna say I'm a huge fan. I'm very starstruck right now. So hi.
Hi.
No, but my question is, I'm Brazilian, so you probably know where I'm going. Rafael is a big thing, and when
Hubba.
yeah, and when 911 Lone Star started, and we had you and him on the show, and we were like, oh my god, he's a Brazilian actor and he's working with Ryan Murphy. And Carlos and TK became a huge thing in Brazil. I don't actually know if it became that big of a thing around here.
It's pretty big.
But yeah, in Brazil
Hashtag
it's like,
Tarlos.
yeah, in Brazil it's like 911. Oh, the series about Carlos and TK? Yeah, that one. So I just wanted to know how this representation and this whole thing of social media and the LGBTQ community, how has that affected you and the show, and how is that,
Well,
Does that make sense?
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
First of all, hi.
Hi.
Rafael is from Brazil, moved to America when I think he was either 15 or 17, so he's fairly fresh in America, very fresh to, doing this. We had a chemistry read, and our chemistry was instant, and it was fiery. And I remember when he left the room, I turned to the producers, and I was like, that's the guy. And they were like, yeah. And I'll never forget, our producer said, if you guys could do that in a room like this, imagine what you could do on a set in front of, real cameras. And I'll never forget when the first trailer came out. It was November of 2019. And it's me and Carlos busting through the door, making out on a broadcast network show on Fox. It was a big, hell yeah. You know what I mean? And that was the birth of Tarlos. And now, 4 seasons later, it's become this massive thing. And obviously, it's become global. And we understand the sort of responsibility we have of being sort of the faces of the LGBTQ community for the show. And there's a massive responsibility there. And, we just got to take great pride in that. And there's a lot of honor that comes with that. And we just have to be responsible, and we have to speak up. And we have to continue, showing these kind of storylines. And for those of you that don't watch the show, we just got engaged at the end of season 3, which is massive to see an interracial gay couple get engaged on Fox.
On any network television.
Just on any network television,
It is a total cultural shift. It really is.
And it was the most talked about thing with the finale. And people around the world love these 2 characters and love Rafael and myself. And we're so grateful for you guys. And hashtag Tarlos is becoming this phenomenon.
And the proposal was
so
beautiful.
We're gonna hopefully continue making you guys proud, and hopefully there will be a crazy wedding in season 4. And we're just gonna keep doing our job and making sure that it's a responsibly told story.
Cool. Every time there's a fight between Tarlos,
It's heartbreaking, man.
don't break it because it's Ryan Murphy, so we never know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a great inspiration. Thank you. I'm telling all my friends in Brazil, Ronen Rubinstein said hi to me.
That's right. That's right. You tell him. Oh my God, is Chase asking a question?
Chase is asking a question.
I am asking a question.
Look how tiny the microphone is.
I was going to say, Chase, you need to pull that
I'm
thing
gonna
up.
lean down. So I always think of actors kind of similarly. Oh, thank you so much. I know, more attention.
Ah.
So I always think of actors in a way similar to athletes and other people that do other creative things of some sort. How do you keep yourself fresh when you're not filming? What keeps you going and inspired to actually keep being an actor and being someone that is passionate about what they do when it's so hard to lose that?
Good question. I fortunately love what I do, and I love being an actor, and I absolutely love 911 Lone Star, and I adore TK. So knowing that, is what I get to go to work for, will always keep me hungry and always keep me motivated and never satisfied. And there's a lot of stuff that keeps me busy outside of work. You know better than anyone, because you're there most of the time with me. So just staying sharp, staying focused, just finding that hunger, to want to go to work at 4 a.m. For 13 hours every single day. It gets tough sometimes, but look, I know that this job is like winning the lottery, and I know how fortunate I am to be where I am, and I truly believe this is the greatest job in the world. So that always will wake me up and keep me motivated.
That's all.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Ophir. And it's a little heavy question, but I wanted to ask, I know you are originally from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Hi.
Hello.
מה קורה?
הכל בסדר, מה איתך?
בסדר, בסדר.
And I wanted to ask, and I'm pretty sure everyone can relate because half of this room is probably not really American. My biggest question mark with this industry is that I feel I'm trying my best I'm doing dialect classes, I'm trying to learn the culture, I'm trying so hard to become American, my accent, my behavior, because this is the hardest thing for me here, not even the acting, to become a part of this culture and language. And I heard you in an interview saying that coming from a different country was the hardest thing for you, to feel like you're not fitting to the culture, to the rhythm, it's not your first language. And a lot of times I'm debating if in this industry, should I go American and like blend in, or should I actually go all the way with the fact that I'm not American, I have something different, and should I go with that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm afraid to be judged by not being American.
Okay, so I think the environment of the industry right now is the most diverse, the most bilingual, the most, I think, wide cast it's ever been. So I think if there was ever a time to be international, it's right now. I say embrace who you are and your authenticity, because that's what they're going to cast. They don't want you to look and sound like a million other actresses. They're going to cast you because of you. And as you know, Netflix right now is doing a lot of Hebrew-speaking shows, Hebrew-speaking movies. There's a lot of film and television that is completely not in English, and they're embracing it. I think the industry overall is embracing multiple cultures. And again, it's sort of a reflection of the world that we live in, Not everybody's American. It sounds like this, it was 50, 70 years ago, you know, but the times have changed and the market has changed, the audiences have changed. So I say embrace you know, and yeah, maybe it might be helpful to know different dialects and stuff like that, but I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself to go like full American. I mean, what does that even mean? American is diverse.
I'll tell you
American
why I'm
is
saying
multiple
that.
cultures, you know what I mean?
I'm saying that because sometimes I'm like scared stepping on bombs because America is very sensitive. So I'm
That's a
scared
word
to
for
like.
it.
So I'm scared to not behave as Americans do, and then being judged by it and not be cast. You understand what I'm saying?
I wouldn't worry too much about that. Because the smart casting directors, they don't care about that stuff, you know.
Good
And again, first and foremost, the work. The work is the most important thing, you know. What you do in that room with the character and the script that you're giving, that's the most important thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna care about, you know, if you're fully American, whatever that even means.
Whatever that means,
you know?
yeah.
I think focus on the work, focus on the
Yeah, good
craft,
advice.
and embrace yourself. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good advice.
Yeah, I know I already asked something, so I hope this is okay that I'm back up here.
It's awful. It's horrible.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I should just go sit down. So Lynda said that you were in No Escape, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. It's been a while since I've seen that, so correct me if I'm wrong. That is like a horror film about like an escape room, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So what was it like to work on that film? Because like I am interested in like horror type stuff, and No Escape was something that I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So what was it like to be a part of that?
So my career, weirdly enough, has had a lot of horror genre projects for some reason. I've also died in like 10 projects.
You're
That's
good
just-
at that. This is good.
I guess
It's
so.
a good,
Yeah.
it's
Hopefully
a
I don't die in
skill.
this one.
It's a skill.
But horror is really actually fun. It's rarely actually scary. All the effects are gross and like blood is gooey and sticky and it's not, you know, it's fun, you know. And on that film, I got to work with Keegan Allen and Holland Roden, and they're super dope, you know. And they've been doing this for a while, and they have massive, you know, followings. And I was so pleasantly surprised. They were just like super humble, down to earth people. Yeah, horror films they're fun, you know. I'd like to not do one anytime soon because I've done a lot of them, and I want to sort of stray away from that.
Unless Brad Pitt does one, then you're in. I know that.
Or, you know, there's also really like artsy horror films like It Follows that I think changed the whole genre. So yeah, you know, I never say never, but yeah, it's fun. It is fun.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, that escape room movie is the one with the girl in the water tank.
Yeah, that was Holland. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, just making sure I have this correctly. There's so many horror escape movies.
There is. Yeah.
So how did that work?
So they would shoot her for, let's say, 5 seconds, and then she'd pop her head out, right? And it's really just camera tricks. On the screen, it might seem like she's in there for a minute, 2 minutes, but they're just cutting from different angles and making it seem like, you know, she's really under there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Also, my parents say hi from Alaska.
Oh, cool. Alaska too?
Yeah.
South America, Alaska, Brazil.
Wow. We're global here.
Say
Ronen,
hello. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean that.
Thank you, guys.
You are so kind and I mean generous to spend so much time with us.
Thank you
and
very
an
much.
amazing actor. We're very lucky that you came to speak. So
Thank you for having me.
I can't tell you, you're very special, and I wish you the best luck.
Thank
I
you. That
really
means
do.
a lot. Thank you very
I
much.
do.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.